Welcome to OneSearch Essentials webinar training. This is our first webinar, free webinar in the free webinar service series, and I'm your trainer, Sherry Daniels. Thank you for joining us. Today, I wanted to tell you a little bit about our session. The phone lines will be muted. We will if you have any questions, we will be having you type them into the chat box, and make sure that you use all attendees, not just the panelists, when you put that in there. And we will be answering questions via the chat, and or Holly, our moderator, will stop me and ask a question so that I can answer it for all of you. We encourage you to have your Destiny site accessible so that you can model what I'm doing, so you can go ahead and follow along. And then this webinar is recorded. This is our agenda for today. So the introductions, again, I'm Sherry Daniels, and we have Holly Landauer on with us as well. She will be the moderator. I'm going to do a quick poll with you all before we get started, and then we're going to talk about what OneSearch is, setting up OneSearch, using OneSearch, and then the resources available for OneSearch. So here we have our poll. What I would like you to do using raise your hand for yes, the question is, have you used OneSearch? So go ahead, I'm going to open that box so that I can see, and let me know by raising your hand if you have used OneSearch before in Destiny. Okay. Very good. So now what I'm going to do is go on to the next one. And this next question is, do you currently have current database subscriptions, electronic database subscriptions? So go ahead and click the green check for yes and the red check for no.
My phone has to be on the whole time? That's not what I said. But I'm still not hearing. Did you push that one? No.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you guys not hear it? So if you go into the participant box, up at the top,
okay,
where it says participants, it says participants, and you click that box. Then next to your name or below it, there should be a hand, a check, and an X. Does everybody see that?
No, I have just a box with a grid. I have like a patterned box, but nothing in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
mine
well,
is there. Well.
Right.
Hello.
Well, hello. Okay, let's just move on then.
Okay.
All right, so OneSearch, what is OneSearch? This is our learning objective, to understand what OneSearch is within Destiny. All right, so here is what we're going to talk about. OneSearch is a federated search. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you can do a single search within Destiny, and you can get your titles, and you can also get databases, any electronic databases. There are paid databases, and there are free databases. So a paid database might be like an ESCO or a Gale, and a free database might be like NASA or National Geographic. It also allows you to do password management. So for those that you do have paid subscriptions for, you're going to go ahead and set up the password, the username and the password, and then your patrons don't need to have to worry about that. So with this single search, I'm able to get something, let's say, for grizzly bears, that's across many different mediums. And so I can get books, and I can also get these databases, which I will show you in a minute. It's additional resources for students. So if there are certain areas in your collection where you'd like to have a little more information on, and science is something that it's hard to stay current in science, the databases will help you do that. The way that we're able to do this is Follett works with different vendors, and they build translators. And then the translators allow you to do the search within Destiny and go out to that database. Now, the list of databases I have put here in right here, the https:// you can find the list here. It's the total list. You're going to see this again. I have this in another place in my my PowerPoint because it's worth repeating. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go to the actual, oh, no, let me go one more, setting up OneSearch. So we're going to go ahead and first we're going to set up OneSearch. The learning objectives are access levels set for OneSearch, add electronic databases to OneSearch, and editing databases to OneSearch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in there. I have somebody who has no sound. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go in there and we're going to set up access levels depending on whether it's somebody that's like a library administrator who would actually be setting up the access levels and then also searching, or if it's a student, we're just going to allow them to search. Adding databases, again, this is where you'll be able to find the databases. And if you want to go ahead and write that down, it's the Follett website. And I'll show you free and paid. And then there's also IP or password validation in these. And then with the edit databases, we can remove them from the search option, or if we didn't actually set it up correctly, we can make changes to that. So let's go into the software. Exit out of here and come into the software. This is my Destiny. Can everybody see that? Holly, can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is Rosalind Carter. This is my database. So for anybody who's following along, please go ahead and go into your database. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and log in. Now, because I'm going to be showing access levels, I'm going to log in as the site administrator. One moment, please. May have to reshare that. Let me. I seem to be having a little issue with my Destiny database. Okay, here we go. I'm back. So let me go back to Rosalind Carter. And let me make sure that I'm sharing this with you.
It's up now.
So I have my Rosalind Carter. I'm going to log in as my site administrator because I need to look at my access level. So I come up here in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm going to put in my admin password. And I'm going to go to back office. And the back office, that's where I'm going to, in the options, I'm going to go to access levels. So here are my access levels. I have different access levels. I am going to have to make sure my guest is set because for my free databases, I'm probably going to want my guests to be able to search those. I'm going to go into my staff, my library administrator, and my patrons more than likely to set up these things. But I'm going to start with my patrons. So I am going to go ahead and hit the edit, the patron access level. And here are the access levels that I have. Because this patron is only going to be searching, the only thing I need to make sure is over here under the library catalog search access, I click the search one search as a student. I want to make sure that that is checked on so that they're able to search through one search. And that's all I need to do, and then I just save it. For somebody like the library administrator who I want to be able to set up one search, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make sure that they're searching one search, but they're going to be a staff. Because with one search, I can actually have different databases, some that are more geared towards staff and only staff has access to, and some that are students. So I'm going to go ahead and make that staff. And then over on the right-hand column, down at the bottom under the administrative access, I'm going to make sure that the set up one search is checked here as well. So for my library administrators, I need to have the two things set. The search and the setup. And then I'm going to save. The only other one I'm going to go in is the guest because that just looks a little different, as you all know. For the guest, the only option I really have is here, one search as a guest. And so I make sure that that's checked. So that's my access levels. So now that my access levels are set up, I can go ahead and I can go in and actually make sure that I've set up the databases correctly that I want to search. So to do that, I have to be in the catalog tab. So I click on the catalog tab. And then the options on the left-hand side at the very bottom, I have search setup. So I'm going to click the search setup. And then in the sub-tabs, which are over here on the right-hand side, the middle sub-tab, Enrich Content Searches, is the sub-tab that I want. So I'm going to select that. Now in the middle of the page here, you will see one search database information. There's two buttons. The bottom button says IP verified subscription. So if you have a paid subscription that is IP verified, then you would actually click this edit here, and you're going to put that IP information and your proxy information in there. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time there. I'm going to start with the top one, which is where I'm either going to put in the free databases or use a username and password. So when I click the edit button, I get this list of databases, and they are sectioned by encyclopedias, and then I have the Gale, I have the internet libraries, the library catalogs, the newspapers, the reference databases, and then the search engine. Now, you'll notice in each of these sections, there is, well, in many of these sections, some of them I've already entered, there is a thing that says free databases. That's what we're going to start with. I have three buttons up here, but two of them are the first one is add databases. So when I want to add, that's what I'm going to do. And the second is edit. And then that means anything that I've set up, I can remove or change it. So let's click add databases. All free call. As I said, we're going to start with the free database. So I find that free databases here, and I click the add. Okay. Now, I have a list of all the free databases. These are all the free databases that I have not already configured. Does anybody have any questions before I go further? Holly, are we still good?
Yep, we're still good. No questions so far.
Oh, okay. So in order to select a database so that I want to search, this very first box on the left-hand side, I have to select.
I knew I shouldn't have picked that up.
So if somebody doesn't have their phones muted, I can hear you jumping. All right. So the Internet library, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the Khan Academy. So I have to select first, like I said, to the left. I might also do Awesome Library. So I'm going to add these two. So now I have the box checked in front of the name of the database, and now I have to make some decisions here. As you can see, some of these are already pre-selected or pre-checked for me. So let's talk about the ones that are not. This preset selected, what does this mean? What this means is anytime, if I check this box, anytime I do a search, it's automatically going to search that Khan Academy for me, so that I can go ahead and do a title search, and I can later go look at my one search to see what other information is in there. So by preset selecting, it's going to automatically check and automatically search Khan Academy for me. If I uncheck that, then my patrons would need to determine whether or not they wanted that database searched. Then remember in our setup we had where we set up the patron as or the student as a student access, and we made sure that the library administrator has staff access. So this is where we would differentiate between a database that might be just geared towards students or just geared towards staff, or in this case, both. Now on the free databases, if you're not going to have your students log in, but you want them to have the benefit of the one search, of searching the free databases, you need to also make sure that your guests can search this access level. On a paid subscription, you really need to make sure that you're protecting the license, and so more than likely you would not allow guests to search on a paid subscription. But on the free one, it's a good idea. So here I'm going to also do my Awesome Library, and I'm going to check that. And then I can go ahead. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add the Kids Health. But I'm not going to check any boxes. So now I can test it just to make sure they all work. So I'll go ahead and click that test button. And here, they have told me they all work. So I'm going to close that. And now I'm going to save. So I have just added those databases in. Now, if I wanted to add one that actually was a paid subscription, let's look at this EBSCO family. When I click Add, everything is exactly the same. See, I have where I pick which database, I pre-select, I say who has it, and again, probably I won't allow guests. The only difference is here I would put in my username and my password. All right? I don't have a username and a password, so I'm not going to do that, but this is how you would do that. I'm going to cancel on that. Now, I had added one of those, and I did not pre-select them. So I'm going to go into Edit Databases. So this is where I could come in here and I can actually delete or remove a database. So if I look here, like ask.com, I don't really want that. So I'm going to remove that. I don't think that's a good one for me to have. I don't want my students looking at ask.com, so I have just removed that from something that they can search. As you can see, it's no longer on the list. And then I had gone in and I had added Kids Health, but remember I didn't click the pre-select. So if I click the edit, here I can make this preset, and I can also allow my guests. I could test it if I wanted to, or just save. And so now I've saved. So now I've added those databases, and I've edited those databases, and I'm really done. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go to close. So that's how I would add a database to be able to search. Does anybody have any questions about setting those things up?
There are no questions in the chat right now.
Okay. All right. Just a quick look. I will do a quick look on that IP. And so when you click on the edit on the IP, this is where you really have to put that, the proxy host path. All right. So let me go back to my PowerPoint. So the next area we're going to cover is actually using the OneSearch. So the learning objectives are search using Destiny, Discover, Basic, and Power. And then we're going to save results in a resource list. So when we're searching for content, when we looked at Destiny Discover searches, anything that we had clicked on the preset select databases will automatically pop up in our search. So that's one of the benefits of that preset. So when I do that, it's going to search it for me. The same with the basic search. When I'm in a basic search, it's also going to automatically do the searches on anything that I have preset selected. If I had a database in that I did not preset select, it would not do a search on that database. When I'm in the Power search, that's where a patron can actually select or deselect databases to search on. And I'm going to actually demonstrate each of these for you. So let me go back to my software. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start doing a search, and we're going to go to the catalog, and I'm going to start with Destiny Discover, which is, for those of you who may not, if you have not upgraded yet, it was the universal search. So I'm going to click on Destiny Discover, and this takes me out to that search. Now, when I do a search, and in this case, I think I'm going to do a search on weather. It comes back, and here I have my database ribbon here. See? Or I could click here on my database tab. But the ribbon or the tab, these here are the OneSearch, except for WebPath Express. These are all the databases, so I'm going to say see all. These are all the databases that I have preset selected so that they will actually be searched anytime one of my students does a search. So I did it on weather, and so I'm going to go ahead. Let's here with NASA. It found 20. If I show the resources here, these are the different sites that have come up with NASA. So if I can cite the website. I can go ahead and I can add it as a favorite. Here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on one of those. Okay, so this is NOAA. Now, when I go back to my search, if I had Discovery Kids, Extreme weather, 3D sticker fun. Discovery Kids. Whoops. This opens in a separate window. Now, I'm going to exit out of here, and I'm going to actually come in to library search. When I do library search, again, if I do grizzly bears, and I do a keyword search, this is my basic search. It's thinking. Oh, it's looking for electronic books. That's that little troubleshooting thing. Grizzly bear, keyword. So this is my titles, right? When I'm doing a normal search, it's the books in my library. But up in your sub-tabs, if you look in your sub-tabs, there is a sub-tab for word search. So when I click on that, here is what it has found. If I click the get results, here's more. So if I click on this Eric and I say show, harvesting a grizzly bear population, or how animals got their tails. So there's just different things here for grizzly bears. I come back to my titles. Again, these are my books. The other way I can search is in power search. So back to that bears, I'm from Illinois, so I do bears, not football. And then down below, I have this include online resources. And this is the only opportunity that somebody has to actually add or remove different databases. So this one isn't checked. So if I wanted the Seattle Public Library, I'd have to check it. If I didn't want things, so I'm just going to do National Geographic, I'm going to do Discovery Kids, oh, maybe I'll leave that one. And then now when I do my search, because I've actually checked that include the online databases, it's smart enough to know that that's where I want, and so it starts it there for me. So again, I'm in this sub-tab one search instead of titles. Like when I did my basic search, it took me to titles first. In this one, it takes me to one search. So again, I'm going to get results. I'm going to show National Geographic. Grizzlies at the National Geographic. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my list. So the list that I have right now, this is my science project in the fall. This is my resource list. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my resource list. I'm going to take a look at this. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take another look at this one. And I'm going to go ahead, oh, this is about stars. Now that might be something that I would want to use in a report. So I add that to the list. When I come over here to my resource list and I look at the projects here, when I view them, it has subtabs as well. So I have library materials that are in here, but one search, here's the one search. These are the things that I have added in to my one search. And I can, from here, just click right here and go right into the article. all right? So that's how that would work. It opens in a separate window. I would need to close that. Does anybody have any questions at this point about the actual use of OneSearch? Holly?
There was one question about showing what a preset selected return looks like versus one that's not preset, but I think you answered it by showing the power search.
Okay.
So I think you're good.
Okay. That's great. All right, so the last thing that I'm really going to cover here today is the actual resources that are available. So there are quick reference guides and there are videos that are set up, and you can find some of them also in the help, web help, or when you're doing a search, or in the videos more, and I'll show you that. The other thing that I just want to mention about OneSearch is you can also set up at the district level, you can set up OneSearch and you can push it, the configuration down to the other schools. So for instance, I was recently at a school district where they had teachingbooks.com, and that was a subscription, a paid subscription that they had. So once they set it up at one school, they were able to, as the Destiny administrator, push it down to all the other schools. So that's where this setting up OneSearch, this video for setting up OneSearch for multiple sites, that's where that would tell you how to do that. So before we go to any more questions, I'm just going to go to the help real quick and show you. You have to be logged in, but if you go to help, this is where the videos and more are. In the Library Manager toolkit, you have to hit that red toolkit. And then in the Essentials, we have the Locating Resources, and in that, we have the Searching Destiny Library Manager with Power, Basic Power and Visual Search, and that's where you're going to find the some of the searching. Here's setting up OneSearch, so that's the quick reference guide there. And then, of course, if I use my breadcrumbs coming back here, there are also videos in those that will show you how to do some of the OneSearch. Right down here. All right, do we have any other questions?
There are no more right now coming up.
Okay. Well, I can hang on for a little bit if anybody thinks of any. It's a pretty straightforward topic, I know.
Okay, so it looks like there's no more questions on the call. We would like to thank you all for attending today. For those who have attended, or if you have registered for this webinar, we will be sending out a link to everybody who registered of the recording of this webinar. So if you have any problems with audio or other issues, we will be sending this out. Oh, it looks like we have one other question. Ali, I'll let you get to that one.
We do. It's one more question, and it said, do you have any special tips for adding state databases? The state databases are not free to the public, but they're free through the state library.
Are they, I guess my question would be, if you have usernames and passwords, and if they're normal, if it's one of them that are on the list and you have a username and password, you can go ahead and put that information in and test it. The other option would be you can put the links, if it doesn't work, you can put the links on the home page of in Destiny, and then they could click there to go to it. It wouldn't be a federated single search, but at least they'd be able to get it through Destiny.
Yes, you said they were authenticated through an IP address. So,
well, then they if they set it, they would have to try and set it up with the that IP proxy setup. Again, they'd have to test it. If it didn't work, then I'm not really sure. That would probably have to be a call into technical support if there was any other option.
Perfect. There's no more questions. Anyone else have any additional questions? I'm not seeing anything. All right. Thank you all for attending the webinar. I think this concludes it.
Thank you.